Ba-boom, guys! Welcome back! This is History of Digimon Digital Monsters Season 1.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions.
Digimon into champion. Digimon into ultimate.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon.
This will be about episode 9 of season 1. So basically what happens is it follows up from, there's a small narration from Tai's character. Again, he's like,
Thanks to that creep Devimon, File Island broke up and all us kids got separated. Now he's up there in his castle on Infinity Mountain, and I hate to think what horrible things he's planning next.
Now that they're on their own, those little intruders will meet their doom. Nothing can stand in my way. The Digidestined don't have a chance. Now fly, my black gears! Fly!
and what happens is Agumon and Tai are floating on their bed. He's like, Agumon's like, Tai, it's cold, I'm hungry, and I wish we weren't so down. And then Tai's being a little sarcastic. He's like, it looks like you're about to get your wish, but next time be careful of what you wish for. You just might get it. And then they crash into the ice, and then they fall into the snow. And then when Tai comes up from under the snow, he's like, okay, so Mom was right, I should have packed a sweater. And then what happens is after that, is Agumon is still stuck in the ice, and what happens is Tai pulls him out and stuff, and what happens after that is now he finds out that his clothes are okay, but they're frozen and they're too cold for him to wear, even for him to wear now. And then what happens after that is Agumon's making a little joke. He's like, don't worry, I can give you the latest hot look. And then he uses his pepper breath attack to melt the ice on his shirt. And then Tai's like, hey, Agumon, that's smoking. Now can you hook up my pants? And then he uses his pepper breath attack again. But when he uses it on the pants, they get singed a bit. And then Agumon's like, oops, nuked them a little too long. But look on the bright side, Tai. What bright side? And then Tai's like, what bright side? And then Agumon's explaining that he won't be cold anymore. And then they see these mailboxes. And then Tai's like, Agumon, maybe people really lived here at one time. I wish we could leave Freeze Land, but it looks like the only way we'd be able to get home is to take a real long, cold swim back to Infinity Mountain. And I have a feeling that if the mountain is drifted farther and farther away, then our friends are too. They must all be out there on those other islands. And this episode starts with this episode. This is the first episode where the gangs are all split, where the group is all split up from each other. I just thought I'd mention that. And what happens after that is Agumon is asking Tai where they'd end up if they just keep floating around like they are, and then Tai's wondering why he's asking him that, and then Agumon is explaining that he's from another world and that Agumon's never left, that Tai's from another world and he's never left File Island before. And then Tai's telling Agumon that he hasn't left his world before either. And then later on there's a noise from under the snow and a Frigimon pops up.
Frigimon!
It's Frigimon! Frigimon is a food-friendly snowman. But don't worry, Tai. He's a good Digimon.
Oh no, my belly's freezing! It's a black gear! The black gear's controlling him, huh? Sub-Zero Ice Punch!
Hey, did you see that?
Did I? His punch froze that mailbox solid.
I guess I better heat things up. Pepper breath!
Frigimon!
I really hope you have a backup plan.
Sub-Zero Ice Punch! Huh?
If he touches us, we're gonna be ice cubes!
You're right, and I'm so hungry I don't have the strength to digivolve.
Come back here and fight Digimon!
Uh-oh!
Going somewhere?
Then Tai makes a joke. He's like, "We're trapped like ice mice. There's nowhere else to run." And then after the scene where they're fighting him and they get the black gear out of him, Tai is explaining, he's asking Frigimon if he's seen any other humans, like kids, people like him, and he's stating that he has seen another boy like him, that he was with the Gabumon, and then that they fell onto the other island over there, and then Ty's being a little worried. He's like,
Perfect. Matt would land that far away. It's too cold to swim, and we're drifting at 100 miles a year.
You're a weird kid. But since you got that black gear out of my aching back, I'll help you get across the water. Sub-Zero Ice Punch!
Hey, it's an ice bridge. Now we can walk to the island. I hope your punches don't, freeze up.
Don't worry, as long as it's cold, I'm full of punch. Yeah, baby.
What if the ice breaks while we're out there? We could be Seedramon bait.
All right, we get it. Quit shaking up the whole island. Man, does everybody in the digital world always have to be so noisy? Come on, guys, let's start walking.
and then it shifts over to where Matt is on the other island. He's wondering where TK is, and then Gabumon is telling him to stop, and then Matt lands in the snow, and then Gabumon recognizes a cave, and what happens is, before I continue talking, I just want to mention this episode is also the first major argument that I stated when I talked about episode 8 of my show, which is about episode 7. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. Anyway, when Gabumon and Matt are in the cave and stuff later on, and when it's morning, Gabumon comes back, takes his fur, and then Gabumon starts sneezing, and then Matt makes a little joke. He's like, "You kept me all warm, and now you have my cold. Guess you look pretty funny with no fur on, Gabumon." And then what happens after that is they hear Tai and Agumon coming up, and then when they go to meet each other, and Tai introduces Frigimon, he's like, then Matt makes a little joke. He's like, "Frosty the Snowman here?" And then basically what happens after that is Tai is explaining that Frigimon happened to see them on the island, and they got them here in no time, and then Frigimon is explaining with his Sub-Zero Ice Punch, and then Matt's asking Frigimon if he's seen anybody else, and then he's explaining that he hasn't, because if it rains kids, he usually notices, and he tells them that they were the only two that fell on the parts of the island they were on. And what happens after that is he's explaining that there are more of them. They're probably on the other islands, and then what happens after that is Matt's being worried about TK again, and what happens is Tai's assuring him that they'll find him, and then after Frigimon goes off to find some cold medicine and stuff, Tai makes a little joke before he leaves. He's like, "Don't go, Frigimon, you can't catch his cold, you already are." And then Tai is asking Gabumon how'd he get sick, and because he's the one with the fur. And then what happens is Matt gets a little mad with them, and then this causes the major argument that I explained before.
We have to figure out what we're going to do next.
Well, isn't it obvious? We have to go search for all the others.
Yeah, right, but how are we supposed to do that? You heard what Frigimon said. Everyone landed on different islands. Unless you've got an airplane stashed around here someplace, I think we're stuck.
So I guess we'll ask Frigimon for help.
Weren't you listening to me? He said they're scattered all over the place. He only has 2 arms. He's not an octopus.
Then I'll have to make a raft out of some of these trees, okay?
Matt, calm down. Wow, what's eating you, dude? I'm on your side. I'll help you get off this island if we have to build surfboards, okay? Look, the others will be fine without us for now. We gotta focus on the real deal.
Real deal?
What, I gotta spell it out for you? We gotta know if this island's moving toward that place Digimon talked about.
That's not the real deal. You doofus, there's nothing more real than our friends and finding them and getting us all back home safe, and don't you ever forget it. You want to ditch your friends to go look for some faraway land, go ahead, but I'm not coming. I'll find TK. I'll find all of them by myself.
But Matt, hey, come on, don't freak out on me.
Tai tackles him into the ground, and he's explaining that maybe there's something across the ocean to help them find the others. And then what happens is, this is also significant in Tai's character in the fact that when I explained his character bio video, I stated that he had a little sister. I figured since this referenced it, I just thought I'd mention that. Okay, and then after the fighting where they're rolling on the snow, and they're on this mountain, like a cliff, and then Matt's like, he's crying, he's upset because TK's out there somewhere and he's all alone, and then the part of the cliff they're on crumbles a bit, and then what happens after that is a Mojimon shows up, which is basically a peaceful mountain-like Digimon. And
I think it's Mojimon.
That's him, but he has a black gear inside him.
Mojimon is a peaceful mountain Digimon that doesn't like fighting.
You better tell him that. He doesn't look very peaceful right now.
Ice Cloud!
And then Tai makes a little remark. He's like, without you, we'd be flat as pancakes. And then he's telling them to next time not try to land on his head. And he brings them food and stuff. And then Agumon, they're all eating it. And Agumon's like, and it's good and tasty, just like the way I like it. And then what happens after that is he gives Gabumon what he says is an old cold remedy. And then Gabumon eats it. And then he makes this little funny face. And then what happens after that is Mojimon shows back up again, and then what happens after that is Frigimon stating that he'll take care of Mojimon, and he tackles Mojimon into the side of the mountain. And then what happens after that is they start fighting, and then after Mojimon uses his boomerang bone attack. Now quickly, I'll just mention that in the sequel series, the boomerang bone attack is called Bone Boomerang. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. Okay, so now Tai makes a little remark about the attack. He's like, nice trick, Mojimon, now watch ours! And then it goes to the scene where they're digivolving, and Agumon and Gabumon digivolve to their champion forms. And then Mojimon uses his boomerang bone attack again, and then Garurumon catches it in his mouth and chomps on it. And then when Greymon goes to use his Nova Blast, what happens is Mojimon kicks him and he falls. And then Garurumon's like, you're not playing nice! And then what happens is Frigimon sneaks up behind Mojimon and he's like,
Now, Greymon, aim for the black gear.
Right!
Nova Blast!
Did it, Greymon?
Phew, now that's more like it. Back down to standard Mojimon size.
and then what happens after that is Garurumon uses his Howling Blaster attack again, and he destroys some of the gears. And then Time's like, he's astounded. He's like, wow, just look at all those black gears. There's a mountain of them. And then in the next scene, Garurumon and Greymon change back into Gabumon and Agumon. and Mojimon is explaining that he feels like he just got run over by a Monochromon and stuff, and then Agumon is explaining that a Black Gear was controlling him, and Gabumon says that the fight wasn't actually his fault because of that, and then Frigimon is explaining that the same thing happened to him, and then what happens is after that, Matt is telling Tai that what happened doesn't change anything. They still have to go find the others and stuff. And then Agumon notices that the gears have fixed themselves, and then Gabumon thinks that it might be Debimon. And then what happens after that is Matt says that the island's moving again, and then what happens after that is Tai says that they're moving all right back the other way toward Infinity Mountain, and then after a little discussion where they say that together they're going to be all right and stuff, Matt makes a little closing narration. He's like, and now I know my little brother will be all right because he's got Patamon to take care of him when I can't be there. And I think as long as we all trust each other, together it's a sure bet that we'll be able to fight and beat Devimon. And then it ends with a closing flash, and that's basically where the episode stops. So, if you guys like this video on YouTube, just give it the best you can, and I'll see you guys next time. Keep it digital!
It's raining kids and Digimon again. I'm gonna have to start carrying an umbrella.